new things that they're doing to block live video streams. We have too much content, so I will take it easy on the video content of the old cartoon. So we'll talk mostly about the figures. And again, for those that are just joining us, the idea is we're going to basically cover all the figures in the classic series one at a time in the order they were released. And we're going to start with King Grayskull because he is the first one that was released. Now, as I mentioned in the other video that I'm probably going to end up deleting, so those who, hey Seth, thanks for joining me. Let me go ahead and just do a quick recap really fast. When I first saw this figure like this, it was actually this figure right here, this cool He-Man figure. And this is what the Four Horsemen showed us. And when I saw this, I was blown away. And I was really excited to get a He-Man figure like this. I could not believe how cool he looked. I'd still like to get this particular He-Man figure. The one we got is similar, but a little bit different. And so that's why I was really excited about this. Now, it's kind of funny, is the first 2000X He-Man that we had, here's the statue that was really cool and stuff. And of course, we just love the 2000X stuff. I mean, it was like, oh, just really cool stuff. But believe it or not, the first way the Four Horsemen were going to draw him was actually like this, which is very similar, to what King Grayskull actually looks like. You can see he's sporting the braids on there, and he kind of has that same kind of look as King Grayskull. So they were going to actually use this, and the cartoon and the story was basically going to be He-Man later on, almost like how the new cartoon is we have right now, where it's supposed to take place in the future kind of thing from the Filmation series, and that the Power Sword was stolen, and so they have a new Techno Sword that Man-at-Arms built, and that's why his sword looks all techno-y and stuff, because that was the new sword, because Skeletor had the two pieces. And so that was going to be our He-Man. Now, because that was going to be our He-Man, later on, of course, it got changed to this right here for 2000X. So as a nice kind of throwback to the Four Horsemen. Hey, Richard, thanks for making it back. When they made King Grayskull for the cartoon, they made him look like the design that the Four Horsemen made for He-Man, which was kind of cool to actually do that. So when we first got these figures, we had a choice of, well, not a choice, but there was actually a chase variant, and the chase variant was either a bronze or regular. So when you got your King Grayskull box, these are all falling over, you didn't know what you're going to get until you opened it. Almost like a box of chocolates. What are you going to get when you open it? So when I first got mine, I got it in the mail. I ordered it from somebody on eBay or something, and I was all excited. And I remember sitting in the car and opening it up. I'm not sure which is which, so we'll see. And it was funny. My wife was driving, and I was just got it from the mailbox, and I was so excited to see what this was all about. And I saw these crazy flaps and opened it up. Actually, this is not the one that I opened. This right here is the bronze one I got later. Okay, so let's go ahead, and must have been this one here. See, I should have kept track of these before the video. Okay, so I opened it up. I should have known the tape's on this one. And anyway, and I remember sitting in the car being so excited looking at these pictures of He-Man and Beast-Man and how cool that is, you know, and there's King Grayskull, and opening this up and flashing lights and, okay, hold on a sec. Let's see. Lights off. Night sky. Come on, phone. Night sky. Okay, let's try this again. Night sky. Burp. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and push that. Oh, look at that. So this was quite the cool action figure of the day, and I was so excited. And I remember just kind of reaching in the box and looking at how cool he was, not wanting to pull him out, but he had like all this oil on him when they manufactured him, so my hand was covered in a bunch of oil. It's like, but I remember getting the figure home and pulling him out of the box. There he is. And thinking, how cool is this? I mean, he's like the cartoon, but it's like the old 80s figures. And lights on. And so, of course, right away I started pulling out my He-Man figures. And he's about the right size compared to, you know, our old He-Man figures. I mean, even the 2000X is not too bad for sizing, because King Grayskull is supposed to be bigger. And so I just figured that this figure is going to be bigger than the rest of the line. This was like a extra large figure, and I just figured all the rest would be this size, right? I figured when you got He-Man and Beastman and everybody else, they would be this 5.5-inch size. And so I was pretty excited. Little disappointed though. This is back in 2008 when we got our figures this size right here instead. It's the same size. And I'm like, what? It's the same size. And I remember throwing a fit online telling people, we got to get Mattel to stop. We need them to make them 5.5-inch figures so it will fit in with our other figures in the line. I think how cool it would be to totally just mesh these in with all the other figures in the line that we already have, and just because I wasn't planning on buying all of them, I just wanted to get the ones I was missing, you know. And I saw that eventually we're going to get a Hero and everything else. It's like, oh, finally Hero, you know. And so I was pretty excited about, you know, just not replacing, but just, well, I was going to get He-Man, of course, because I wanted a fully articulated one. Nope. But then I started contacting people online and trying to get a hold of Mattel and say, you know what, just give us these figures with shoulder articulation. If you have the shoulders go up and down, that's all we need. That's all we need, is to have just simple shoulders go up and down. And how cool would that be? And what's funny is now we have the 5.5 with shoulders that go up and down and a whole lot more. And it's funny, now I complain there's no bicep cut. And it's like, all I wanted before was just shoulder articulation, you know. And here they gave us a whole lot more, and I'm still complaining. They even gave us the power to pull apart and you know, basically customize easily. So I guess we're never happy, right? Anyway, so I remember setting up all these cool scenes of like King Grayskull teaching He-Man how to fight and everything else, you know, and I took pictures of him, stuck them online, and I was just totally blown away with how amazing this figure was. It was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe it that we actually had such a cool He-Man-esque figure, even though it wasn't actually He-Man, it was King Grayskull, but still really cool. Let me look at your guys' comments. You know what? I went and got on the wrong one. Let me go ahead and get on the other video. I guess I should have. There we go. Second try. Here we go. Did it die already? Oh, it's an ad. Hold on, you guys. I'll let that. I think actually I can still see the chat, can I? Oh. Okay. Come on. What the heck? No, this is not a premiere. This is actually live. That's why I'm having so many problems. Because if it was actually live, or if it was actually a premiere, I would probably have it a little, or if it was recorded earlier, I'd probably have it a little smoother. There we go. Hooray. All right. So, there we go. I'm back. And my first light has died. Let me get my second light out. So, as I mentioned earlier, they had a chase variant. And this chase variant was the bronze one. And I was so thankful I did not get the bronze one. I was hoping the whole time when I was getting it, because the guy who sold it to me didn't know which one it was. And I was like, oh, please, not the bronze. I want the full color one. Because I paid a pretty penny for the first one, being I didn't know they came out right away. And I ended up buying him, on the secondary market. You never know what you're going to get then. So anyway, eventually I had to track down a bronze one just recently. This was actually the last figure I had to add to my collection to make it complete. And it was crazy trying to find a bronze, which is funny because before I was just like, please, no, not bronze. And then I finally got a bronze. I don't know if I had to track down a bronze one. So it's kind of funny. Now, besides those two, the bronze and the regular, they also released what they called a Spirit of Grayskull. And this was a clear blue figure. And they only had 2 of them at auction. And then some of them went to Mattel employees. So it was really hard to find. And yes, somebody did mention about the glow-in-the-dark version. Here's the glow-in-the-dark version here, which came out later. And I'll be covering that in a different episode because that didn't come out now. And so I had a friend, and this guy, he made me a hero figure from the 80s. That was so cool. And I remember before I knew who this guy was, he was the first person on eBay I've ever contacted to try to make a deal. And I'm like, dude, I can't afford your awesome hero figure from the 80s with the chrome parts, but I'll do whatever to get one. And so I traded him all kinds of other figures, some ones that were still in the box and everything else to get that hero. Well, we became good friends. In fact, we call each other all the time on, birthdays and holidays, and we talk, and we have done things together when it comes to customizations. One time when he was selling these, I actually mailed him a box to put one in so it could go for a higher price. But he eventually made me one, which was pretty cool. And this one does actually glow in the dark too, which is kind of fun. It doesn't glow very long though, but it does light up when I first hit it with a light. But here is my blue, loose jointed King Grayskull. Because I should use some stuff to tighten his joints eventually. But I'm kind of glad I got this. Yes, it is a custom, not the official one, because there's no way I could afford official one. But there is the cool custom version of it. All right, so in the cartoon, I'm going to try to show a still image of the cartoon, and hopefully it won't freak out on me. Let's see here. Okay, my sound is down, so nobody can hear it, hopefully. Cool. All right, so in the cartoon, we saw there was a giant, where's the pause button? There it is. We saw there was like a huge giant statue, which is why I kind of want to get the bronze one later on to represent this statue. And then, of course, also in the cartoon, we saw him wear the standard Grayskull, the same armor that the 2000X He-Man wore. But what I didn't realize in the cartoon until later was the very beginning of the episode, he actually wore snake armor. And I did not know that. And so I remember people talking about it online when they made some customs, is they had this snake armor King Grayskull. There we go. So there he is in his snake armor. And so, of course, I had to make a snake armor King Grayskull custom. There he is. Dun, da, da. And so this was my custom King Grayskull, because we saw that he actually did have snake armor in the cartoon. Now, of course, we didn't get this buck until a lot later, and I will cover that when you get to that figure. And then I'll probably bring this back out again to show the cool custom. But there you guys go. So I'm going to actually read you guys something. The back of King Grayskull's box art. And let's see if I happen to have it on here. His bio. There we go. Dun dun dun. Long before Prince Adam held the Sword of Power to become He-Man, his ancestor King Grayskull defended Eternia from evil. Heroically mastering the secret power of his sword, Grayskull fought side by side with the cosmic warrior Hero against both evil Hordak and King Hiss. Although Grayskull eventually fell before Hordak's magic, he was able to preserve his power inside the sword so that one day his descendants could reclaim the power and call upon Grayskull's name whenever evil threatens the people of Eternia. To this day, Grayskull's spirit remains hidden away deep inside the castle, which will forever bear his name. So, there you go. Now, one kind of fun little throwback to this actual toy was inside the box. You know, I shouldn't mix these up. This one goes with the bronze one. So let me set this one aside for the bronze one. And let's find the other box. Let's see, where did I toss it? Here it is. And this was kind of a fun thing they did with the box. Sorry, you guys. I know I'm probably ignoring your comments. I'm probably making tons of them. Let me just slide this up against the back wall here so we got room. And let me check your guys' comments before we do this. You got a lot of King Grayskull parts. Yes. I think snake armor looks like a lame battle armor. Yeah, it kind of does. It was a 2000X design, which was actually kind of hard to find and kind of spendy. So, so you take this box and you fold out these corner pieces. Zoop. And you fold out this corner piece here. And then you take this inside insert they had and you slide it up over the top just like that. And now you got yourself a makeshift Castle Grayskull. And that was the idea. There it is. And you can open it up. So kind of a fun little display box for those that didn't know how that worked. It does kind of like the 2000X Battle Station playset. All right. Well, thanks for joining me there, Pierce. I appreciate it. So, you know, it's kind of a cool thing they did here with the actual box. I actually thought that was really clever. And then this slides over the complete box. And it slides back into the box. Oops. There's the bronze one. Getting them all mixed up now. Hey, look, it had instructions with it too. Let's check out the instructions. Basically, don't throw the batteries away. All right. I'm glad I spent the time to look at that. All right, so let's go ahead and stick this back into the box where it will forever stay preserved. So many layers of cardboard. I don't want to get the lip of this cot onto the castle inside there. Ugh. There we go. I just shoved the castle piece down further. Hooray. Let's take a look at that bronze one again. One more time. And of course it has the lights on the inside there flashing. I know you can't see because it's so bright in this room. But the bronze one is pretty cool. His arm's kind of twisted weird in there. Now, one problem these figures did have, and that was they had exploding ankles and exploding crotches and exploding shoulders. So these figures were known to have some issues. And let me go ahead and talk about those exciting King Grayskull issues. Being it was the first figure made, it you know, just had some crazy little problems with it. Go. So the first issue we had was ankles. Ankles on these figures kept snapping. So where is my King Grayskull? Here he is. So the foot, the way it's made is there's a little round piece that goes up inside here. And this little round piece then goes down below and has like a T fitting in the bottom of the foot. And what happened is this little round piece would crack. And when it would crack, it would then split and then it would break. And since his foot was so tight in the box, a lot of times it would be snapped in the box. So people would open their boxes up and here's his foot just laying there in the box, snapped. And then about a couple years later, people started having problems with the pins in here cracking and snapping, so the leg would actually break off. And then a couple years after that, people had problems with the shoulders doing the same thing. So I'm not sure what kind of plastic they used on these, but they would break really easy. So because of that, when we got our future release that I'll cover in a different video, many people would mix the two to make one good one. And you could tell if they're mixed or not because the skin tone is slightly different. You can see this one here is a little more tan, this one's a little more red. So it's kind of easy to tell if you have a swapped one. Of course, the forearms are completely different too. So you just want to take a look and see the coloring if you have an original or a swapped one. But even still, these figures are going for so much too that if someone was to swap them at this day and age, it wouldn't matter. But back then, when people would swap them, it was like almost like heresy because you're taking a collector figure from a Comic-Con box or whatever, or first release box, whatever it was, and then you're just swapping them out for, you know, just a regular figure that was packed normally. But anyway, like I said, now both figures are about the same price, so it doesn't really matter if people are doing the swap to fix it. Yes, the Bronze King Grayskull is epic. What is the rarest He-Man figure? Well, the rarest He-Man Classics figure happens to be the Chrome She-Ra. There is only 2 of them made, and she's the most rarest. The next rarest is the actual Spirit of Grayskull. Only a handful were made, and then after that, I think it was Fisto, because they shortened the run. But I'm not positive about that. But I think Fisto was the next rarest one at that point. So there you go. Hopefully I answered your question. Yes, we've had quite a few exploding crotches. We also had, which I'll talk about later, her as well had exploding crotches too. So that was another fun one that was part of the exploding crotch club. So there you go. All right. Well, I think that pretty much concludes my stuff on King Grayskull. A little bummed about the first video not working. So I had it all set up. I'll probably have to fix all the descriptions on here. But it was pretty cool. Check out these Prince Adams. So originally we got this Prince Adam, which is so Luke Skywalker looking. I'm going to Tashi to get some power converters, right? And I just could not stand his hairstyle on here. It's just so weird looking. And then he turns into He-Man and his hair becomes bedhead mess, you know? Oh, now I'm messy hair. You know, it's kind of... Then he turns back to Prince Adam. His hair is nice and styled and parted in the sides. And he just looks so much like Luke Skywalker, kind of more like Luke than Luke does. So I decided to give him the flop crop mop from He-Man to make him look more like the cartoon did. Because in the cartoon, his hair was a mess. Many times it'd show him getting out of bed and just kind of walking in, like on his 16th birthday. And so I wanted him to have the messy hair. And I think it looks way better having He-Man's messy hair. Anyway, I know we're not here to talk about 2000X, but I had him out to make this video that I'll show him anyway. Let's see, what do you recommend doing for Castle Grayskull if collecting the Revelation figures? It seems a little too small. Well, hopefully Revelations does come out with a castle. That'd be cool. As far as trying to make a castle work, you are right. The Origins one is way too small. Their heads actually hit the top floor when you put them in there. and they don't fit through the door very well. I kind of made a video on that one time. And so, yeah, you are right. Oh, one thing too, if you do ever get a King Grayskull, many of you guys already know this, for those who have collected figures, there it is the shields are a little small for their wrists. And if you put the shield on your figure, you will get two little white spots here and here of the plastic being stretched. If you don't want that to happen, throw it in hot water first before you put it on, and then you won't get those stress marks on the handles. I have so many of the shields with stress marks on the handles that I stopped putting them on the wrists. So I still have some that are untainted or undamaged by putting them on the wrists. So, all right, there you go. And if you do get white stress marks, there is a way to fix it, but it's very dangerous. You can destroy the shield, and that is to take a heat gun and heat the plastic up hot enough that it actually re-solidifies and gets rid of the white. But doing that, you might destroy right around here because this is thinner than this is. So it's pretty easy to destroy a shield trying to fix those white spots. Favorite series of original He-Man? If you mean faction, it was of course the Heroes and the Evil Warriors, the first two factions that were out. If you mean series as in TV series, 2000X is my favorite. If you mean series as in figures, the classics are my favorite. But you know what? If they would release classics and they would release Origins at the same time, I would have gone with Origins. I know that sounds kind of funny because I keep saying how much I love classics. Let's say I have all the classics now and all my customs are classics and everything's converted over to classics. But back in the day, I had the 80s figures and the commemorative figures. And so these would have fit in better with that line to complete my collection. So if they would release these both at the same time, I would not have bought any classics except King Grayskull because he's large. And I would have just got the Origins figures because they have everything I was looking for back then. 5.5, rotating shoulders, you know, and that's really all I was looking for back in the day was just those two features. And they look so much like the figures we grew up with. Even though now I keep dogging on Origins because next to classics they're, you know, lower quality. But to tell you the truth, if they were both released at the same time, I would have skipped on the classics and bought just the Origins. So for those of you that are out there and you're like, man, I wish I had the classics, always got is the Origins. The Origins are really cool. I just don't want to get a whole new collection again because I have already swapped over to the classic size and lots of classic customs and everything else. So eventually I'll probably be selling the majority of my Origins once after I do a bunch of reviews on them and stuff and have fun making some cool customs. All right. Sure, Pierce. You have any extra axes for Grayskull or He-Man? That's a good question, Mike. Not really. I mean, I do have lots of axes, but if I was to take all my figures out and give them all axes, I'd actually be short a couple. So, sorry, man. Yep, the 5.5 height really brings the nostalgia. What's funny, Jinx Caliber, is this is so weird and kind of strange, is according to the creators, when they made these figures, they made them this size so that in our adult hands, they would feel the same as these figures did in our kid hands. And so that was part of their reasoning, was the height was actually to bring more nostalgia for adults, being it was an adult collector line, because technically we've grown since these came out, and since we've grown since they came out, the figures need to grow with us so that they're the size we remember as kids. And I remember I had this stuffed dog, and my mom put the stuffed dog in storage, and I ended up going to California for a number of years, and I was telling people about this giant stuffed dog I had. It was just this massive, you know, huge, giant stuffed dog, you know. And then when I finally saw the stuffed dog, it wasn't 3 or 4 feet tall like I remember. It's only like about maybe 8 inches to a foot. And it was just funny because, you know, I grew and the dog didn't. And so it was kind of funny. How would you improve the current Masterverse line? I don't know, Bat Fan One. I mean, the Masterverse line is cool. It's just not classics. I think for what they're doing, you know, Fisto was really cool. Spycore was cool. He-Man's the wrong color. You know, they made him too yellow. You know, just little things like that. The articulation is, you know, way off the charts, but the articulation also kind of makes the sculpt suffer. So you have to decide what you like better, articulation or sculpt. Now, talking about sculpt suffering, I mean, look, we got these giant holes in the arms of the figures we had for classics. So I really can't complain too much. You know, eventually we got boots that didn't have holes in them. But, you know, I think, you know, maybe if they were bulkier, of course, some of them are kind of bulky. I just kind of wish that Savage He-Man would have been more Savage size. That'd have been cool. Because this is actually a Savage He-Man body I used to make this Grayskull. But if they would have made him a little more Savage size body, that would have been more Hulk-like. And one thing I really dislike is the dent in the elbows right here. The way it looks with the double joints. I know it's so they can move and close their arms and stuff, but it just looks kind of strange with the elbow. I don't mind the double joints because it kind of makes sense because the kneecap's right there. But that's basically it, I guess. I guess the real complaint I have is He-Man's skin color and the double jointed elbows, the way they look. And then, of course, the bulkiness. Now, I don't mind other figures having small lats on the sides. I just kind of wish He-Man had bigger lats on the side. Because the other figures, they used to always get in the way having the giant lats when you would... well, you know what? This is kind of an unfair shake. Let me go ahead and grab an actual He-Man instead of this Savage He-Man body. Because the Savage He-Man body is actually larger. So you can see here's He-Man himself, and you can see that this didn't give him much lats on the back, and he's not very wide this way. So, you know, we see in the old 80s one that his chest was massive in the 80s line. And you can just see the difference where he looks like a huge giant bodybuilder and he just looks like a really fit guy. So I wish they would have gave him just a wider chest area and a wider lat area. The other figures don't need it, but He-Man does. I mean, he's He-Man. Come on, he's supposed to be the most powerful man in the universe, not somebody who looks like he, you know, is on Fitness Magazine, but not on a Muscle Magazine. Anyway, that's just my own thoughts. But, all right. Thanks, Pierce. Yeah, the head sculpt's kind of weird. Of course, I already swapped my head sculpt. This is the one I usually use. So, I gotta admit though, Fisto is pretty cool looking, and he would be a great replacement to use in your classics line. He could actually fit right in, and you probably wouldn't even hardly notice, except for the elbows, that he's not a classics figure. You know? Maybe the belt line looks different, so maybe you could swap out the loincloth, the different loincloth, to look more like Fisto's. You know, maybe even get Clamp Champ's armor and paint it purple, so it looks like Fisto's. But, you know, other than that, he does fit in pretty good at the classics line. But the double jointed elbows, especially in the front, just really stick out with those lines right there. Just looks weird. Of course, you know, we have lines on ours too, but... Alright. Will you build a full-scale Castle Grayskull if you win the lottery? That would be awesome, but I have a wife, so no. But Real Metal Fist, yes. Real Metal Fist. It's funny, I've always kind of wanted little metal swords for my figures, and I guess we got a Real Metal Fist. So that was kind of cool. Alright. I think that's pretty much it. All I got for you guys. Like and subscribe. The next video I'll have will probably be He-Man and Beastman. That'll be kind of fun. And then, of course, after I cover my information, we'll chit-chat like we did tonight afterwards. It's always kind of fun. I'll try not to edit the video so your guys' live chat feeds will still stay on there. Definitely don't throw that fisto at anyone. Yes. You know, that's a good point. If you're to take and you're to huck this across the room, I bet you could probably put a dent in your drywall. You can imagine some kid just hucking this thing across the room. Oh, that's funny. Is it me or does this have a slight purple tint to it? I can't tell if my eyes are playing tricks on me or not. If it just has a slight purple tint. So I was noticing that on my custom Grayskull. I can't tell. Maybe not. Maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks on me. But is there just a slight purple tint to that, or is it just my eyes playing tricks on me? Or just the lighting here? Well, I guess I do have a blue light above my head, so that might be what's messing with me too. Is I got my skylight on, which is blue. So, all right. Well, like, subscribe, tell your friends, share it around, and we will have more. Oh, my light moved again. And we will have more videos coming up. I will still do my other videos too, not just the ones about the figures that came out in the line, but I'll do our stuff too. All right. Thanks, you guys.